Good morning. My name is Christos Ioannou. I'm a junior here at Shaker Heights High School, and I would just like to say, thank you. I would just like to say good morning to my fellow students, members of the faculty, special guests, members of the administration, and members of the school board. I would like to thank you all for being here today. In my time here at Shaker, I've seen quite a few changes in leadership. From 6th grade to my sophomore year, I went through 5 different principals at 3 different schools. But as far as district-wide, there is only one administrator who I can recall without hesitation. That is our current superintendent, Dr. Hutchings. He came to us from Alexandria, Virginia in 2013, and if you weren't aware, he's heading back there in just a few short months. It's been a fruitful 5 years under this administration with the district-wide implementation of the IB program, a fresh new strategic 5-year plan for the future of the district, improvements to make sure our schools have adequate and just top-notch security, and improving the technology we have accessible to all students here in the schools. I could go on, but I'm sure he'll cover that and much more when he takes the stage. I've served on his Student Advisory Council for the past 2 years, and I feel like I've gotten to know him fairly well. He's a man who cares, a man who takes any student under his wing, and he always wants the best for them. He treats any student as if they were his own, being a superintendent, teacher, and mentor, all at the same time. If there's one thing I've learned from him during his tenure here, it is this: one must be willing to learn in order to learn anything at all. That is how we gain knowledge. It is my great honor to introduce to you, for his final State of the Schools, the man in the bow tie himself, our esteemed superintendent, Dr. Gregory Hutchings.
Let's give another round of applause for Christos. Thank you. So first off, I just got to say, can you all hear me? Yeah, first off, I just got to say thank you all so much, one, for taking time out of your day to be here today. For me, this is something that is very special. One, because it's my last State of the Schools, and I've never had the opportunity to actually present to our students our State of the Schools. It's typically for our community and for the adults. And yesterday, I have to say, because when this was planned before the walkout was even scheduled. I have to tell you all that you all truly inspired me. So I'm thankful that we had this set up and that this final State of the Schools could actually be for our young people. Now, many of you are probably wondering, why is it just 9th and 10th graders here? Because a lot of times we work with our juniors and our seniors. And the reason for that is because, one, this can only fit 2 grade levels in the auditorium. But 2, because you all are going to be the next group of students to work with the next permanent superintendent. Our permanent superintendent should arrive somewhere around 2019, the fall of 2019 or the summer of 2019, I believe is the goal. And you all are going to be juniors and seniors at that time when that individual arrives here in Shaker Heights. So I felt that this was the group that I wanted to kind of leave my parting words with and to hopefully inspire today. So to start off, we call this Shaker 101 because I feel that because we're here during the school day, that it's important for us to have a classroom setting. So you always have to pique interest from the beginning. So I want to share, it's a quick 2-minute video, and it's someone who truly inspires me. I hope that he inspires you as well. But Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He did a very rare video in the 60s, but I think that his words of wisdom are true to today, and I think they will really impact your lives. So let's just take a minute to look at Dr. King's words.
This is the most important and crucial period of your lives, for what you do now and what you decide now at this age may well determine which way your life shall go. And the question is whether you have a proper, a solid, and a sound blueprint. And I want to suggest some of the things that should be in your life's blueprint. Number 1 in your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your own worth, and your own somebodyness. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. Always feel that you count, Always feel that you have worth, and always feel that your life has ultimate significance. Secondly, in your life's blueprint, you must have, as a basic principle, the determination to achieve excellence in your various fields of endeavor. You're going to be deciding as the days and the years unfold what you will do in life, what your life's work will be. Once you discover what it will be, set out to do it, and to do it well. Be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a highway, just be a trail. If you can't be the sun, be a star. For it isn't by size that you win or you fail. Be the best of whatever you are. Finally, in your life's blueprint must be a commitment to the eternal principles of beauty, love, and justice. Well, life for none of us has been a crystal stair, but we must keep moving. We must keep going. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl, but by all means, keep moving.
So how many people in this room actually knew that Dr. Martin Luther King spoke right here in Shaker Heights? Raise your hand if you knew that. In the 60s, Martin Luther King, he was invited to speak here in the city of Shaker Heights at Heights Christian Church, right over on Van Aken Boulevard. And at that particular time, initially he was supposed to speak inside of the church, but it just so happened that at that time they were going to clean their pews and they were all removed out of the church. So they said that Dr. King was going to have to speak on the steps of the church. What they didn't realize is that Dr. King initially was going to speak to 100 people, but he ended up speaking to thousands of people from all over the greater Cleveland area. People filled the entire city of Shaker Heights to hear Dr. King speak. That's history that you all need to know. You need to know that we come from people who have stood up for our rights, people who have lost their lives, like Dr. King, so that everybody in this room could be here today. And that's something that I feel if we don't talk about our history, if we don't make people understand the sacrifices that people have made for us to be in a school district like Shaker Heights and to have an African-American superintendent standing in front of you, if we don't remember that, then we have failed. You know, yesterday was, to me, one of the most inspirational moments that I've had in the Shaker Heights City Schools. To see our students come together and to plan to walk out on behalf of the people who have lost their lives in the Parkland shooting. To also have individuals who said, you know what, I feel that my rights and that I didn't receive the same support from our administration like some of those who did the walkout. They chose to do a sit-in yesterday. I'm inspired by them as well. We had our middle school who they had an opportunity to come together in the auditorium and then to walk around the entire building. And students at Woodbury who were involved in different activities. So we had kids from grades 5 through 12 in Shaker Heights advocating, standing up, speaking out for themselves. And that's what we believe. I want to apologize on behalf of the adults in this country, because it's sad that our young people have to fight for the rights that they deserve to already have. It's sad that we have to come to school worried about whether we're going to have an active shooter in our buildings. It's sad that we get nervous when we walk into a movie theater because we're afraid that something could happen. It's sad that even in this building, we have situations where classrooms have one particular race and another classroom has another particular race. That's unacceptable. And we as adults, yes, we need to encourage you, but we also need to be examples and we need to be role models and we need to lead for you. We need to help build you up because you all are the future. You know, I always say that your voice is power. That's one slogan that I've used from the time I've gotten here. And the reason why I use your voice is power is because I have a little story that I want to share with you all. I typically don't share it with a lot of people because it's my own personal story, but I feel that this is something that would inspire you. I hope. Everybody's like, what is Chick-fil-A up here for? One is, I love the Chick-fil-A sandwich, and also their diet lemonade and their waffle fries. But two, Chick-fil-A was the first job that I ever had. I started working in 9th grade, and I've been working since, believe it or not. I've always worked since 9th grade. And I remember walking into Landmark Mall in Alexandria, Virginia, and meeting with the owner, Les Brown, not the Les Brown, but another Les Brown. And I walked in with a shirt and tie on. So I walk in, 14 years old, and he says, just because you walked in with a shirt and tie, I don't need to interview you, you're hired. And he gave me a job, just like that. I just walked up the steps in the mall, and he was like, you walked in with a shirt and tie, you're hired. He literally changed my life. And that was the first moment that I realized you have to show up. When I was in 10th grade at my high school, T.C. Williams, how many people have seen the movie Remember the Titans? All right. T.C. Williams, that's my alma mater. So I'm a Titan. Once a Titan, always a Titan. But in 10th grade at T.C. Williams High School, that was in the fall of 1992, because I'm only 40 years old. I'll be 41 in May. But in 1992, I was in 10th grade, and I was in what we call phase 3 classes. We had phases at that time. And it was a general ed class. And in my particular class, my teacher would read the newspaper during class time. I knew I wanted to go to college, and I felt that I'm not learning in this class, and I need to one, have a class where a teacher cares. Two, I need to have some rigor because I want to be prepared for the world. So I went to my school counselor and I said, I would like to be in honors classes. At that time, we had a policy where you had to have a certain GPA and you had to have a certain test score to be admitted into our honors courses at T.C. Williams. My counselor looked at my cumulative file and he said, you don't have the GPA and you don't have the test score, so you're going to remain in phase 3. You don't get to go to honors. So I walked out of that room, one, defeated, but I said, you know what, I'm going to talk to our students at TC and I'm going to get a petition. And I'm going to get people to sign this petition so I can get into honors classes. And that is what I did. I walked around our building. I got students to sign this petition. I brought it to my principal, who is still one of my role models and one of my mentors, Mr. John Porter. And I walked into Mr. Porter's office and I said, Mr. Porter, your counselor doesn't believe in me, but your students do. Our policy states that I cannot go into honors classes, but your students believe that I can do the work, and I believe I can do the work, and I would like to be admitted. Mr. Porter literally walked me down the hall into my counselor's office and said, Gregory will be admitted into the honors program. That moment literally changed the trajectory of my life, because that's when I realized my voice is power. I wasn't always the brightest kid. I got straight C's in honors. Thankfully, I got into honors, but I had straight C's. They were B's, you know, you had to weight and unweighted GPA, so I still got into college. But I had somebody who believed in me. And that is what I hope that each and every one of you continue to do. You know, the International Baccalaureate philosophy is about you all owning your educational experience, which means that you all have to believe that you can do this work. If you're not in an AP course, challenge yourself. Try it out. Yes, there may be people in the class who don't look like you. It may look intimidating. It may feel unwelcoming. But you have to take that step forward. It's so important. I wanted to talk about the Equity Task Force because, you know, we talk about how are we going to make sure that all children or all students, young people, achieve in Shaker Heights. And last year we started a task force that's their sole responsibility is to make sure that we address the inequities in Shaker schools. Some of you think we don't realize that there are inequities. Some of you feel like your voices are not heard. I need you all to know we do see what's going on. It does matter. We see that there are African American students not in upper level courses. We see that our cafeteria is segregated. We see that some of the diversity that we have within our schools are when we're in the hallways. We see that there are some academic disparities between our students. We see that some of our athletic teams have one particular race and the athletic team has another particular race. Everything that you all talk about, we know, but now we have to do something about it. We've been talking about this for a long time, before Dr. Hutchings arrived. Shaker Heights has had these challenges, and we've been faced with these challenges at least 30 years ago. At least. And I would hear certain comments that when I arrived that I brought certain issues into Shaker. I brought the achievement gap. I brought disparities with discipline. I caused some of our classrooms to be segregated. These are comments that I hear, that I still have. It's all public records when people send me these emails. I'm here to tell you that we've always had the issue. And it's time for us to do something. And guess who's going to do something? You all. You're going to make the difference. You're going to demand what you want in this school system. You're going to make sure that we're held accountable to provide you with a quality education every single day. And not for certain people, but for all kids, for all life circumstances, for all socioeconomic backgrounds, for all learning abilities. You know, we talk about this equity task force, and it's bigger than just race. It's about our LGBTQ students. It's about our students with special needs. It's about making sure we have a diversified staff. It's about making sure that our students who are labeled gifted, that they have those accelerated options and resources. It's about making sure that we live up to what we said we were going to do, and that is that every single child matters, and that we care about you when you walk into this building, and that you're treated with respect. Respect is mutual. We expect you all to respect us. You all should expect us to respect you too. And we need to start living up to that. There's a particular thing that I want to talk about because, you know, race, it's a topic that I believe sometimes we are nervous to talk about. And I know why. It's a difficult topic. It makes you uncomfortable. It causes you to have a little anxiety, so I get it. However, we have to push through that. You know, nobody has the right to be comfortable. Nobody has the right to be comfortable. And I'm speaking from experience. I'm uncomfortable almost every day. I'm just telling you the truth. I'm put in situations sometimes that I have to keep my cool, that I can't say what I want to say because I'm the superintendent. It's my job to be a role model and to be an example. That is very difficult. And I'm a human being, so I make mistakes. I've made them. God knows, you know, throughout the past 5 years I've been here, I've made some mistakes. I don't make the same mistake twice, but I've made mistakes. And just like I expect you all to make them, you're going to continue to make them as long as you're on this earth. But we need to start having that discussion around some of the racial issues that we have within our schools and within our community. And our Equity Task Force is beginning that work. We're going to have community meetings and training sessions for students, for teachers, for your parents, for community members, for city council people, anybody who lives in the city of Shaker Heights, or anybody who's employed by the Shaker Heights City Schools will be able to have access to these actual training sessions. This is going to be broadcasted in the next couple of weeks. You're going to hear about it in the next month. You will hear about these trainings that are going to happen right here in our city. Because it's time for us to have the discussion. It's a tough conversation, but it's a conversation that's needed, and if we don't have it, we're going to continue to see the same results and the same outcomes. But who's going to hold us accountable? Everybody in this room. That's the expectation. That's why I said, if I'm going to have my parting words, it's going to be with the people who are going to change the world. Our freshmen and our sophomores at Shaker Heights High School, you all will change the world. I believe it. I know it. That's what we're preparing you for. So I commend you. I hope that you're listening to these words, and you don't need to remember everything I've said verbatim, but I hope that it sparks something, because yesterday was a testament to us coming together and standing for something. But it's about what we do today, and it's about what we do tomorrow. It can't end from the walkout. It can't end from the sit-in. What do we do next? When you all turn 18, it's time for you to vote. When you start bringing in a paycheck, you start determining where you're going to put your money. That's how you change laws. That's how you get your voice heard in this country. So we want to pass that on. Finally, before we go into our Q&A, really quickly, I just want to tell 5 things about, and I'm going to just run it through real quickly, because you all need to know some of the things that we're doing here to make the educational experience better for students. Whether you have been impacted by this or not, this is for our kids in Shaker Heights. One is that we're an international baccalaureate district. Everything we did yesterday in regards to our sit-ins and our walkout, that is all about the IB approach. Whether you all believe it or not, that's really what it's about. IB embraces that. It embraces you going out and advocating for yourselves and being risk takers and thinkers and collaborative. You all demonstrated all that yesterday. You know, we talk about the Innovative Center for Personalized Learning. I don't know if you all know about the IC, but it's an opportunity for students to either take classes in a smaller learning environment, meaning this school is too big for you, so you would like to take classes in a smaller learning environment. We have classes at the Stephanie Tubbs Jones building for you. That's a blended learning option. Some is online, some is direct instruction, and then you still have options to come here to take electives. Some students take classes online and they never step foot on our campus. We have online learning right here in Shaker Heights, and you still get a Shaker Heights high school diploma. We have college credits for you all to obtain. You can obtain 30 college credits before you graduate from high school. Let me tell you, that will save your parents a year of tuition. That's major. You all need to know what we're offering you. Take advantage of it. You can go into college and finish it in 3 years and not pay a dime to get those 30 credits. We have SELF, which is Summer Exploration, Learning, and Fun. It's our summer program. We got rid of summer school and we said students need to not only learn, but they need to also have some fun in the summertime. All these options are free for kids who may receive free or reduced lunch services, which I was the student who received reduced lunch in school, and I'm not ashamed of it, growing up. Look at me now. Can't wait to go back to Alexandria to say that. People were talking about me, all the haters. Look at me now. We also need to understand FACE. It's family and community engagement. We want to make sure that your families are engaged in our learning process, that our community is engaged in our learning process. So Mr. Keith Langford, he is our FACE coordinator. He works with communities and businesses and organizations all over the city as well as the greater Cleveland area. And then finally, I want to talk about the simple fact that you all are our hidden figures. And I mentioned this about a year ago. How many people saw the movie Hidden Figures? Which is amazing. The sad thing is that we knew nothing about African American scientists and mathematicians in NASA until this movie came out. That's the sad thing. But I'm glad we learned the history, right? What we need to do is we need to find our hidden figures who are sitting right in this room. Our women who can go out, the young ladies in this room who are going to go out and go into STEM, the STEM field, who are going to become those doctors and those engineers and those, mathematicians, or like our math teachers here and our science teachers. We have so many women science and math teachers in Shaker Heights High School. That makes me really proud. We need more. Don't get me wrong. We don't have enough. But many high schools have none. We're very fortunate to have women, because I believe women rock the world. I do believe that. I would play Beyonce's Who Runs the World Girls, but I'm not going to do that right now. But I would also tell you that we want to have pathways for you all. IB, AP, it's always controversy about IB and AP under the same roof. We can have both. We have both now. Look at that as a gift. Some kids don't even have the option to do either. You have both. That's pretty amazing. We got to recruit more of our minority teachers to teach in our schools. And that's not just for minority students. That's for all of our students. I mean, imagine the experience that you get to have when you know that there are people who may not look like you who are also teaching classes. That gives you something to be hopeful for, to think about, to say, you know what, I can relate with this person. And allow somebody who may not look like you to say, hey, other people can do things like my race. It's okay for us to talk about race and to identify we have differences. If we try to act like we don't have differences, that our heads are in the sand. There is no such thing as colorblind. If you don't see me as an African-American man, there's a problem, because I am. You should be proud of that. No matter what color you are, be proud of who you are. There's nothing wrong with it. Embrace it. Finally, we need to have more male teachers at the elementary school. We have some, but we need more male teachers who are working with our little kids. A lot of our men, they go into middle school like me. I taught elementary for 1 year and I got out and went to middle school. They teach middle school and high school, but we need some men in the elementary schools too. And that's for all of our kids. All right, I want to open the floor because I promised that I would answer a couple of questions, and we have our MAC scholar and our MAC sister here, one of our MAC scholars and one of our MAC sisters here, to ask a couple of questions. So thank you all so much for your time. I really appreciate you all. So we have Kai Harrell from our MAC sisters, and we have Brett Hansen, who is one of our MAC scholars. So take it away.
What have been the district's greatest successes in the past 5 years? What were your biggest disappointments?
So what were my biggest disappointments in the past 5 years? I think one of my biggest disappointments is that I'm not going to be here for 5 more years. It really is. For me, there's no place like home, and that's why I made the decision. I'm going back home to my hometown, the place where I graduated from high school. So that's a huge honor. That's something that comes, I'm going to be the first graduate of TC to be the superintendent, so it's not something that happens, right? So I felt like I had to take on that opportunity, but I wish I had 5 more years here to continue the work. So I think that would probably be my biggest disappointment. I think I take the mistakes that I've made, which I made a few, here in Shaker schools. I learned from everything, so I don't look at it as a failure. I look at it as an opportunity.
What impact has working and living in Shaker Heights had on you professionally and personally?
So what impact of living in Shaker Heights had on me? It's made me a better person. It really has. I think that Shaker has brought the best out of me. It has brought qualities that I didn't realize I had to fruition. And that's something that I'm thankful for. We've had Shaker, as you all know, you're all Shaker residents too. My kids are in Shaker schools as well. Shaker, it's a tough community. We advocate. We give you a run for your money. But it makes you better. It makes you step up to be the best that you can be. And that's why we have a quality of excellence here in Shaker Heights that a lot of people, it's hard to kind of embrace, but if you endure it, you rise above it. And when you all go out into the world, it's going to be easier. Not going to be easy, it's going to be easier because you've been challenged. So I'm a better person for it.
How can we get more African American representation in honors classes?
How can we get more African American representation in our honors classes? You all signing up. That's how we're going to do it. You know, I think that I just recently visited Evanston Township. It's a school district in Illinois. And every student in 9th grade is in honors English and honors social studies. 100% of their students. And their high school has 3,300 kids. It's bigger than ours. Every freshman is in honors English, and every freshman is in honors social studies. You all have to make the decision to challenge yourselves. If we continue to wait for people to recruit you, if we continue to wait for people to say, hey, come on in, come be a part of this group, the classrooms are going to continue to look the same. Sign up.
All right, what are we doing to ensure a safe learning environment for our students and staff?
A safe environment for our students and staff. There are a number of things that we are doing. So one, I think of the first time I arrived in Shaker Heights, right? That was in 2013. I came in, it was, like August, and every door of the high school was open. Literally, one door was wide open. And I was like, why are all these doors open? And they said, we have open campus and our kids can come and go. And I was like, well, that's a safety issue. And I got a lot of pushback about that when we closed our doors. But it's important for us to not allow people to come in. Everybody's not good who wants to come in here. So we got to keep our doors closed. We've also increased the number of cameras that we have throughout our building. We've increased our training in regards to security, safety and security. We now have an actual safety and security district director or supervisor who works for the district and kind of helps with our security officers. Our security officers, they have a tough job. I know sometimes you all give them a hard time, but they have a tough job. Trying to keep you all safe and vigilant, like watching everything that's going on in the hallways, and sometimes stepping into bad situations on students' behalf. It's tough, but we are trying to continue to increase our security measures within the district. And we work very closely with our Shaker Heights Police Department. So I meet with the chief of police. We also have a team, our security office, they meet with the police department once a month. So we do a lot of interaction with the police.
Are we making gains in bridging the achievement gap?
I think we've made some gains. We have. Our graduation rate went from, it was about 82% in 2012, and now it's at 94%. So I would say yes. Last year was at 94%. Our teachers are rocking. Our teachers and our students are doing some phenomenal things. And that's not just here at the high school, because it goes all the way from elementary through. I think that some of the instructional measures that we put in place over the past few years have just enhanced this experience that you all have had. And just some of our intentional efforts that we've made, like the IC, or providing summer learning for students who don't have their credits at the high school, that we're providing those credit recovery opportunities. So yes, we still got a long way to go. So it's not closed, but it's narrowed, which is a good thing. So we made progress.
Where would you like to see the district moving in terms of our facilities?
Where would I like to see the district moving in terms of our facilities? That's a good question for the Board of Education. I get to throw it on the board. But if I had my way, I don't know. I think that we just need to have more technology. I think that's important. I know we have kind of enhanced our technology infrastructure. We don't have, now you can actually use your phones in the schools, and it's not so slow. And it used to be a few years ago that was always a concern. But I think that's a good question. I think just making sure that we have the technology, technologically enhanced buildings, as well as making sure they're safe, warm, and dry. That's our, Board of Education's motto: safe, warm, and dry.
What advice do you have for the next Shaker superintendent?
What advice do I have for the next superintendent? Listen. I came in, and, I was 35 when I got this job, so I was like, I know what I'm doing. I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna change this, and I'm gonna change. And then Shaker teachers like, no, you're not. You're not gonna change anything in here, not without our permission. So I had to step back a little bit. Our chief of staff at the time, Chris Organist, she pulled me in her office on my first couple of weeks, and she was like, look, you're in Shaker Heights, you are not gonna be moving that fast. You gotta slow it down, take the roller skates off. So the one thing I would say is for the next superintendent to just listen, to go out, that was one thing that I really am proud about, that I did go out. I couldn't talk to everybody, so everybody in here doesn't know me, but I know a lot of people, and I made an effort to try to talk to different stakeholders, whether it's students or parents or our teachers or our community members, and I would encourage the next superintendent to do the same thing. Our kids, you all have so many thoughts and ideas. For example, these questions, they're coming from our student advisory council. You already know that's what you were doing last month. When we were doing that, that's where these questions came from. All the things you said that you would want to know, that I should talk about. So our students have a voice. I value it. We want our next superintendent to value it too.
Are you looking forward to returning to Alexandria, and why?
So like I told you, it was my disappointment as I'm leaving Shaker. I am excited about going back home, and that's because it's home. And like I told you, I said I had a lot of haters growing up. I feel like I was bullied sometimes because I didn't have all the latest things until I got my job at Chick-fil-A, 9th grade. I was able to go to work and buy my own stuff, but I worked really hard. I had to work, I had to do the school. So I'm excited because I'm able to go back to a place that made me the person that I am. And that to me is like one of the biggest honors. I'm gonna miss the most you all. When I saw you all walking in today, I was just like, this is why I do the work. It's for our kids. I love the adults, don't get me wrong, but our young people, this is the reason why I do it every day. So I'm just thankful and very appreciative to be able to serve every single one of you as your superintendent. So thank you. Is that good? Are we good?
Kai and Brett, thank you very much for your help with the questions. If you would remain on the stage for a minute and help Dr. Hutchings toss out some special gifts we have for 7 lucky people.
Whoa.
Okay?
Toss those out.